Yesterday, my apartment building had 143 residents. This morning, I was the only one left. No blood, no screams, no signs of a break-in, just silence, and somehow, that was worse. My name is Ethan. I'm 28 years old, and until last Tuesday, I lived on the 17th floor of Ashwood Heights, one of the oldest apartment buildings in Seattle. Nothing special about the place. Old elevators, thin walls, neighbors who argued too loudly, kids running through the hallway every afternoon. It wasn't perfect, but it felt alive. Every morning I followed the exact same routine. Wake up, coffee, shower, leave for work at 8. That Tuesday, everything started exactly the same. I woke up because sunlight hit my face. Checked my phone. 8:02 a.m. I was already running late. I walked into the kitchen, started making coffee, and turned on the TV. No signal. Weird. The internet had been acting up all week, so I didn't think much of it. I grabbed my mug and walked toward the window. Normally, the parking lot below was packed with people, parents loading kids into cars, neighbors walking dogs, delivery trucks, construction workers, noise everywhere. Today, nothing, not a single person. The cars were still there, hundreds of them, but none of them were moving. It looked like someone had pressed pause on the entire world. I laughed to myself. Power outage. That had to be it. People probably hadn't left for work yet. I finished my coffee and headed for the elevator. The hallway felt wrong. Apartment 1702's front door was wide open. Mrs. Carter always locked her door. Always. She was the kind of woman who checked it 3 times before leaving. I knocked. Mrs. Carter? No answer. I stepped inside. The television was on. Breakfast sat on the dining table. Eggs, toast, orange juice, still fresh. A chair had been pulled back, like someone had stood up in the middle of eating and simply vanished. I felt a strange knot form in my stomach. Hello? Nothing, not even the sound of a refrigerator. I backed out into the hallway. Across from me, apartment 1705, door open. Apartment 1708, door open. Every apartment I could see was open. I suddenly realized something else. The hallway was completely silent. No televisions, no conversations, no footsteps, nothing. Even the emergency exit sign, which normally buzzed constantly, made no sound. I hurried to the elevator and pressed the button. Nothing. No lights, no movement. Great. The elevator was dead. I cursed under my breath and pushed open the stairwell door. The moment I stepped inside, a freezing gust of air rushed upward. The building had central heating. The stairwell should have been warm. Instead, it felt like walking into a giant freezer. I started descending. 17th floor, 16th, 15th, every floor, every apartment door, wide open. Some apartments had music playing, others had water running. One apartment smelled like something burning. Inside, a pan sat smoking on the stove. Nobody there. Floor 12, I heard something. A television, the news. Finally, another person. I ran toward the apartment. The TV volume was loud enough to hear from the hallway. Authorities are asking everyone to remain static. The screen turned black. I entered the apartment. The television switched itself back on. Only, it wasn't showing the news anymore. It showed my hallway. Live. I frowned. How? There were no security cameras inside the apartments. The screen showed my own floor, the 17th floor, empty. Then, someone walked across the hallway. A man, black hoodie, hands in his pockets. He stopped directly outside my apartment, looked toward my door, then slowly turned, and stared straight into the camera. Even from 12 floors away, I somehow knew he was smiling. The TV instantly shut off. The apartment went dark. I slowly backed away. Nope. I'm leaving. I didn't care what was happening anymore. I just wanted outside. By the time I reached the lobby, my heart was pounding. The lobby doors were unlocked. I pushed them open. Sunlight flooded my face. The city was still there. Buildings, traffic lights, parked cars. Everything looked normal, except there wasn't a single person. Not one. No birds, no dogs, no planes overhead, not even wind. The entire city looked abandoned. Then, from somewhere deep inside the building, I heard it. Ding. The elevator. The elevator that had no power had just arrived on the 17th floor. I stared at the building. There was no electricity, no emergency generator, nothing. So, How had the elevator just moved? For a few seconds, I convinced myself I'd imagined the sound. Stress does strange things to your mind. I took one step toward the parking lot, then another. I reached my car. The doors unlocked. I climbed inside, pressed the ignition. Nothing. The battery wasn't dead. Every light on the dashboard worked, but the engine wouldn't even try to start. I tried again. Nothing. Every single car in the parking lot was exactly the same. Doors unlocked, electronics worked, engines dead. I looked across the street. A city bus sat at a green light, doors open, engine silent, no driver, no passengers. It looked like someone had abandoned the entire world. In the middle of an ordinary Tuesday morning, I pulled out my phone. Still no signal. Not even emergency calls only, just nothing. For the first time, real fear hit me. I wasn't trapped inside the apartment building. I was trapped inside an empty city. I started walking. Maybe someone had survived. Maybe the next block would explain everything. 5 minutes later, I reached a grocery store. Automatic doors opened the moment I stepped closer. Inside, shopping carts were scattered everywhere. Fresh fruit still sat on the shelves. Music played softly through the speakers. A loaf of bread had fallen onto the floor. Someone's shopping basket sat abandoned near the checkout. Inside it, milk, eggs, diapers, a birthday card. Someone had clearly been shopping. Then, they simply weren't anymore. I yelled, "Hello!" My own voice echoed through the store. Nothing answered. I grabbed bottled water and a flashlight. No point pretending I'd pay. There was nobody left to pay. As I turned to leave, the speakers crackled. Static. Then a man's voice. "Don't let it see you." Silence. The music came back, like nothing had happened. My heart dropped. Someone else was alive. Had to be. I ran toward the manager's office. Empty. Security room. Empty. The microphone was still hanging from the desk. No one. No footprints. No signs anyone had been there. By afternoon, I had searched almost 20 buildings. Hospital, police station, gas station, nothing. No people, no bodies, no blood. It made no sense. If everyone had died, where were they? If everyone had left, why were their phones still charging? Why was food still cooking? Why were doors left open? It was as if every human being had disappeared at the exact same second. As the sun began setting, I made a decision. I'd spend the night back at Ashwood Heights. It was the only place that still had bottled water, and somehow, it felt safer than sleeping alone in the middle of the city. I reached the lobby just before dark. The moment I stepped inside, the front doors slammed shut behind me. Bang! I spun around. The doors were locked. I pulled the handle. Wouldn't move. "Great," I muttered. Then, the emergency lights flickered on, one by one. The hallway glowed red. The building suddenly looked alive, somewhere above me. I heard footsteps, slow, heavy. Someone was walking across the 17th floor. My floor. I looked toward the elevator. The display lit up. 1716, 1514. It was descending, floor by floor. Someone had called the elevator. I backed away slowly. The numbers kept changing. 13, 12, 11. The elevator reached the lobby. Ding. The doors slid open. Empty. No one inside. Just silence. I stared at the control panel. One button was glowing. 17. Someone had pressed the button to go back up. Before I could react, the doors slowly closed again. The elevator began climbing. 1, 2, 3, 4, all by itself. I watched every number. When it reached 17, it stopped. 30 seconds passed. Then, I heard it. Footsteps. Again. This time, directly above me. Impossible. Ashwood Heights only had 17 floors. There was nothing above the 17th. Then, 3 loud footsteps echoed across the ceiling.